Alright, so let's take a look at number 1. The first thing we're going to do is identify any excluded values. So when you look at the denominator, what makes this 0? 0, right? And the same holds true for the other 3. So we're going to say k cannot be 0. That's the only excluded value. For the LCD, I'm going to work it out over here on the side. So LCD, I'm going to write out 6k squared, 3k squared, and k. Now what all of them have in common is k, and then factor out the k from each term, so that leaves you with 6k, 3k, and 1. Now there's the only common factor of all 3 is 1 now at this point, right? So then you take 2 at a time. So if you look at the first 2 at this one and this one, then the common factor of between those 2 is 3k. You bring factor out a 3k from 6k, that gives you 2. Factor a 3k from 3k, that gives you 1, and then just bring down the 1. Once the last row has no other common factors, even within pairs of number of terms, then you're done. So the LCD would be the product of these numbers, or these terms. So that gives you, for this problem, 2 times 3 is 6, k squared. And that's what we're going to multiply each term by on number 1. So let me go ahead and 6k squared, 1 over 6k squared. 6k squared, 1 over 3k squared, and 6k squared, 1 over k. Now you may want to put a 1 underneath each LCD just to keep it looking as a fraction. And so now we're going to go through and simplify. So on the first one, 6k squared over 6k squared, that's all gone. Over here, 3k squared and k squared is gone, and then 3 into 6 is 2. So 3 goes into 3 once, and then 3 goes into 6 2 times. And then the last one, k, is gone, and then so that I get rid of that 1k, so that 2 is gone. So in the first term, I have 1, and then equals. Then I've got 2 times 1, and then 6k times 1, like that. Move the 2 over, subtract it from both sides. Divide by negative 6, and so k is 1 over 6. And this is fine because the excluded value is 0, so your answer is k equals 1/6. So for number 2, we look at the denominator to identify any excluded values, and again, just like number 1, n cannot be 0. Okay? For the LCD, I'm going to set it up here on the side. So I put all 3 denominators, and the common factor of all 3 is n. So I'm going to factor out an n. That gives me n here, 1 here, and 2n right here. Okay, so they no longer have a common factor, all 3 of them, but 2 of them do. This one and this one have an n in common, so I'm going to take it out. And so this, when I factor out, I get a 1, just bring down the 1, and this gives me a 2. Once you don't have any more common factors with any pair, so like here, 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 no pairs, the only common factor is 1, then you're done. So the LCD is going to be the product of these terms. So LCD for this problem is 2n squared. And that's what I'm going to multiply by over here on the side. So 2n squared, and again I'll put it over 1. And then 2n squared. And then 2n squared. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and reduce as much and simplify as much as I can. So on the first one, n squared and n squared is gone. Okay, on the second term, the n, one of the n's, the top and bottom, so here, and then I'm going to scribble the 2 because I canceled one of them out. And on the right side, the whole thing, right? 2 and the n squared. So what are we left with? On the first term, I have a 2 times 1 is 2. In the second term, I have 2n times 1 is 2n. And on the right side, I have a 1. So subtract 2 from both sides. So 2n equals negative 1. Divide by 2. So n equals negative 1/2. Okay, and that's the answer for that one. Again, it's not 0, so we're good. We'll keep that number, that answer. Alright, so for number 3, again, b cannot equal 0 because that would make the denominator 0. And for the LCD, we're going to set it up here on the side. So a common factor to all 3 terms is b, so I'm going to take out a b. And that leaves me with 6b, 6, and b. A common factor with 2 of the terms is 6. So in the first one I factor out a 6, I'm left with b. In the second one I'm factoring out a 6, I'm left with 1. And then the b just comes down. And then a common factor with 2 of the terms is b. I'm going to take out a b. So that leaves me with 1, bring down the 1, and then that leaves me with b right here. So once the GCF is 1 at the very bottom, like it is here, you know, I can't take anything else, I can't factor anything else other than 1, right, for any pair. So we're done. So this would be the, I circled the 1s, but you know that 1 times anything is itself. So the LCD is 6b squared. Okay, so over here on this side, we're going to say 6b squared for each one over 1. B squared over 1. Okay, so we're going to just go through and simplify as much as we can. So on the first one, everything's canceled, 6b squared and 6b squared. On the second one, 6b is canceled, so 6b and 6, and then one of the b's, so I'm going to cross out the exponent. And then this one, the b squares and the b squares. Okay, so now we're just going to simplify. So the first term, I'm left with 1. The second one, just b. And then on the right side, just 6. So I'm going to subtract 1. b equals 5. And again, 5's okay because it's not 0, right? The excluded value for this problem is 0, so 5's fine. Okay, so here's another one where the excluded value is just b cannot be 0 because you look at your denominators and 0 is the only number that would make each of these 0. Okay, so now we're going to set up for the LCD. So a common factor with all 3 of them is 2b squared, right? 2b squared, 2b squared. So when I factor out 2b squared from the first one, I end up with 2. And then from the second and third, I have 1. Okay, so now since the only common factor with any pair on the bottom row is 1, I'm done. So then I'm just going to multiply all these. And so the LCD, 2 times 2 is 4, is 4b squared. That's the LCD. So that's what I'm going to multiply each and every term by. So 4b squared, put over 1. So that's a 6. That's a 2 right there. And then 4b's, oops, why did I put a, sorry about that, that's a 1. 4b squared over 1. And then b plus 4 over 2b squared. Okay, So now I'm going to go through and cancel whatever or simplify whatever I can. First term, 4b squared, both of them, top and bottom, gone. The second one, 2b squared, well, the b squared and the b squared, and then 2 into 4 is 2 times, so this would be a 2. Same thing on the other side of the equal sign, right? B squared and b squared is gone, and then 2 into 4 is 2. So now we simplify. I'm left with b plus 6 for the first term, and then 2 times 3 for the second term. This one right here, 3 times 2. And then on the right side, distribute the 2. So I got to distribute the 2 here and here. So 2b plus 8. So I've got b plus 12 is 2b plus 8. I'm going to subtract the b and subtract the 8. So 4 equals b. And that's fine because the excluded value is 0. Okay, so we look at the denominator and we see that x cannot be 0. Okay, so now we're going to set up for the LCD. So here you see the 3 denominators. See the whole number 1, its denominator is 1, right? So I just wrote it down just so you see that, we do take it into account. And so there is no common factor in all 3, but there is a common factor in 2 of them, right? The x, I'm going to take out the x, so that's going to give me a 1, a 5, and a 1. And so there's no more common factors in any pair. In that last row, 1, 5, 1, no common factors, right, in any pair. So that would be your LCD, 5 times x, 5x. And that's what we're going to multiply each term by. Okay, so I'm going to do 5x, 1 over x. 5x, and I should put a 1 underneath. Well, you don't have to, but you could. 6 over 5x. 5x, 1. You could put 1 over 1 if you want. Okay, so now we go through from left to right and cross out whatever simplifies. So on the first one, the x is gone. On the second one, both the 5 and the x. And on the third one, nothing, right? So when you simplify the first term, the one on the left side of the equal sign, you just have 5, right? This one right here, 5 equals 6 plus 5x. Okay, so subtract the 6. Negative 1 equals 5x. Divide by 5. X is negative 1/5. And again, that one's good because the only excluded value is 0. So for number 6, x cannot be 0. Okay, because that's the only number in the denominator that would make the denominator 0. And so for the LCD, alright, so we start off by factoring out anything that all 3 of them have in common, so 2x, and factor that out. And so then I have 3x, 1, and 3x. Now I look for factors that 2 of them have in common, in this case 3x. And so 1, bring down the 1 and 1. So once you have 1 as your common factor for any 2 or 3 of them, you're done. So like here, the last row is all 1s, we're done. So we multiply together, that gives me the LCD of 6x squared. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use to multiply, 6x squared, that's my LCD, 6x squared. Okay, and that's, oops, right there. That's about it. You go through and reduce whatever reduces or cancels. So 6x squared. The x with one of the x's here, and then 2 into 6 is 3. Okay. After the plus, 6x